Anantam Shukrana Guruji for this beautiful, blissful, divine satsang and also blessing us with this beautiful seva of reading as well as listening to the Shivpuran. Last week we read chapter 41 of Rudra Samhita section 5. In this we read that Vyasa requested Sanat Kumara to narrate how Vishnu outraged the modesty of Shankachura's wife Tulsi. To this, Sanat Kumara narrated the entire story. He told Vyasa that Sanat Kumara could only be killed if two conditions were fulfilled. First was that Vishnu's armor should be taken away from him. As long as he wore the armor, he would not be killed. And also the fact that as long as Tulsi, his wife, maintained fidelity in his marriage, then Shankachura would not be killed. So Vishnu stepped in to help the gods. First, he disguised himself as an old Brahmin and he approached Shankachura and told him that he was the supplier of the armor and he wanted the armor. So Shankachura gave the armor to Vishnu. Then Vishnu took a guise of Shankachura himself and went to Tulsi's palace. Now, when Tulsi saw Shankachura coming, she was delighted and she beautified herself and she welcomed Vishnu, who was in the guise of Shankachura, to her apartment. And then, after welcoming him, she asked him to sit on a gem-set throne and asked him about the events of the war. To this, Vishnu said, who was in the guise of Shankachura, told her about the events of the war and told her that first the gods defeated the Danavas and then he had to interrupt and come into the battlefield and he defeated all the gods. Then gods approached Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva stepped into the battle and there was a fierce battle between Shankachura and Lord Shiva that lasted for a year. Then Lord Brahma intervened and made peace and the power of authority was assigned to gods again and everybody went back to their abodes. Hearing this, Tulsi was happy. Then Vishnu sported with Tulsi and Tulsi sensed deception and asked him who he was and threatened to curse him. Then feeling that Tulsi would curse Vishnu revealed his identity, assuming his real form, and Tulsi kept on crying. She cursed Vishnu that since he outraged her modesty and he was ruthless, he would become a rock. Now after this, Lord Vishnu remembered Shiva and he appeared in front of Tulsi and Vishnu and he told Tulsi that since she has performed penance, she should not worry, and then that she should cast off this body and assume a divine form and forever sport with Vishnu and be equivalent to Lakshmi. And he also said that her cast-off body would become a sacred river, Gandaki, in the land of Bharata. And he also granted her several boons. He said that Tulsi would be the most important material for the worship of God, and as a plant, Tulsi would be the most meritorious and excellent plant amongst all the plants and flowers. He also granted her a boon that she can forever sport with Vishnu in secret, and he also told Vishnu that he would become a rock on the banks of this river Gandaki, and crores of germs with their sharp teeth would erode these rocks and would form rings on those rocks, and those stones would be called Shaligram. And this Shaligram would be a symbol of union of Tulsi and Vishnu and would be extremely meritorious. After granting the boons, he vanished from there, and as he said happened, Tulsi cast off her body, assumed a divine form, went with Vishnu to Vaikuntha, and Vishnu also became a rock on the river Gandaki after the body was assumed the form of a river. Now today we will be reading chapter 42, which is Hiranaksha is slain. Today English reading will be done by Shweta auntie. We also have Hindi reading which will be done by Sushma Bhatla auntie. Enjoy the readings. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. Also, if you're interested in participating in the reading, you can reach out to Seema auntie, Rashmi auntie or me. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji.
Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji for the seva. Chapter 42, Hiranyaksha is slain. Narada said, I am not satiated by hearing the story of the moon-crested Lord Shiva, including the annihilation of Shankhachura from you, even as people are not satiated by drinking nectar. Please narrate another story of that great soul, Lord Shiva, who indulges in divine sports, delightful to the devotees by resorting to magic practices. Brahma said, on hearing the story of annihilation of Shankhachura, Vyasa, the son of Satyavati, inquired of the excellent sage, son of Brahma, the very same matter. Sanat Kumara narrated to Vyasa, the son of Satyavati, the auspicious and admirable story of Lord Shiva. Sanat Kumara said, O Vyasa, listen to the auspicious story of Lord Shiva in relation to Andaka, how the latter attained the leadership of Ganas from Shiva, the great soul. O great sage, it was after a great fight with the gods and by propitiating Lord Shiva again and again with sattvika devotion that he attained the leadership. It is wonderful indeed. The greatness of Shiva is wonderful. Shiva protects those who seek refuge in him. He is favorably disposed to his devotees. He indulges in different kinds of sports. On hearing about the greatness of the bull-bannered Lord, the sage, son of Gandhavati, bowed to the great sage, son of Brahma, with devotion and spoke these meaningful words. Vyasa said, O Holy One, O Lord of sages, who is this Andaka? In which warrior family on the earth was this powerful Andaka born? What was his parentage? What is his importance? O son of Brahma, please let me know all this entirely along with his mystical secrets. You have learnt this well from Kartikya of immeasurable enlightenment, the son of Lord Shiva. How did he obtain the leadership of Ganas from Shiva of great splendor? Really, that Andaka was blessed since he became the Lord of Ganas. Brahma said, on hearing the words that son of Brahma spoke to Vyasa, the father of Shuka, who desired to hear about the wonderful sports of Lord Shiva, which give prosperity to the hearer. Sanat Kumara said, formerly Shiva, the emperor of the gods, kind to his devotees, came to Kasi from Kailasha, accompanied by Parvati, the daughter of the mountains, and his Ganas, because he was desirous of sporting there. He built his capital there. He appointed the hero Bhairava as its protector. Then he performed many sports, pleasing to the people, in the company of Parvati, the daughter of the mountain. Once he went to the mountain Mandara to see his excellent grandeur. He sported much in the company of Shiva and the various principal heroic Ganas. While sporting on the eastern ridges of the Mandara mountain, Parvati sportively and playfully closed the eyes of Shiva of fierce exploit. She closed the eyes with her lotus-like hands, which had the luster of coral and golden lotus. When Shiva's eyes were closed, a great darkness spread immediately. By this contact with Lord Shiva, the rapturous rutting juice exuded from her hands became hot by the fire of the eye on his forehead and flowed out in copious drops. Conception took place and a terrible inhuman being manifested itself. It was furious, ungrateful, blind, deformed, and black in color. It had matted locks of hair and fine hair all over the body. It sang, cried, laughed, danced, put out his tongue like a serpent and thundered fiercely. When this curious creature arose, Shiva smilingly spoke to Parvati. Lord Shiva said, You did it yourself by closing my eyes. O my beloved, why are you afraid of it now? On hearing these words of Shiva, Parvati smilingly took off her hands from his eyes. When light spread everywhere, the blind being appeared even more terrible. On seeing such a being, Parvati asked her Lord Shiva. Parvati said, O Lord, what is this ugly, hideous being that is born in front of us? Please tell me the truth. Why was it created? By whom? Whose child is it? Sanat Kumara said, on hearing these words of his beloved, the sportively inclined mother of the three worlds and the cause of creation of the blind creatures, Lord Shiva himself, indulging in sports, smilingly said. Lord Shiva said, O Parvati of mysterious activities, listen. When my eyes were closed by you, this being of wonderfully fierce might was born of my sweat. He shall be named Andaka. You are the cause of his creation, though not in the natural way. He shall be guarded by the Ganas lovingly as well as by you along with your friends. His well-being rests with you. O noble lady, pondering over this intelligently, you shall do everything." Sanat Kumara said, on hearing the words of her lord, Parvati was very compassionate. Accompanied by her friends, she made arrangements for his safety in diverse ways and means as if he were her own son. At that time, the Asura Hiranyaksha desired to obtain a son at the pressure of his wife, who was envious at the sight of many sons of her husband's elder brother. Accordingly, he set out in the season of late winter. He resorted to forest and performed penance for obtaining son. In order to see Lord Shiva, he performed a rigorous penance, conquering the passion of anger, etc., and remaining insensible to external sensation, as does a log of wood. The trident-bearing Lord was pleased at his penance. O great Brahmin, he went there in order to grant him the boon. After reaching that spot, Lord Shiva, the bull-bannered Lord, spoke to the leading Daitya. Lord Shiva said, "O Lord of Daityas, do not curb your senses so much. Why have you taken up this sacred rite? Speak out what you desire. I am Shiva, the granter of desires. I shall grant whatever you desire." Sanat Kumara said, on hearing the pleasing words of Lord Shiva, the Daitya Hiranyaksha was delighted. He joined his palms in reverence and humbly bowed his head. Eulogizing and bowing in various ways, he spoke to Lord Shiva. Hiranyaksha said, "O moon-crested Lord, I have no powerful son befitting the race of Daityas. It is for this purpose that I have resorted to penance. O Lord of gods, give me a powerful son. My brother has 5 sons of infinite valor, Prahlada being the eldest. I don't have any son. My family is likely to be extinct. Who will inherit my kingdom after me? He alone merits to be the son who enjoys either the inherited kingdom of his father or the kingdom of another taken by force. That father alone can call himself possessed of a son with such a son. An abode in heaven is enjoined only for those who have sons, as mentioned by the learned and the virtuous. All living beings are active in that respect. A person whose family is extinct cannot have higher regions. It is for obtaining the son that people worship the deities." Sanat Kumara said, on hearing these words of the king, the kind-hearted Shiva was satisfied and spoke thus, "O ruler of Daityas, there may not be son born of your semen, but I shall grant you a son. My son, Andhaka, has prowess equal to yours. He cannot be defeated by any. You choose him as your son, cast off your distress and accept him as your son." After saying this, the delighted Lord gave the son to Hiranyaksha. Shiva, the great soul, the primordial Lord of Bhutas, the destroyer of Tripuras, the fierce god, went away, accompanied by Parvati. After getting a son from Shiva, and Daitya circumambulated Shiva and worshipped him with many hymns, joyously the noble Asura returned to kingdom. Having obtained a son from Shiva, the demon of great and fierce valor conquered all the gods and took the earth to Patala. Then the gods, sages, and siddhas propitiated Vishnu to infinite vigor in the form of boar that constituted all sacrifices and all beings and was terrific in form. He split the earth by beating and striking with his snout and entered Patala. He powdered hundreds of Daityas with his nose and the formidable curved fangs. He smashed the armies of the Asuras by kicking with his legs, dazzling like lightning. He had a wonderfully fierce refulgence. With his Sudarshana dazzling like a crore of suns, he chopped off the burning head of Hiranyaksha and reduced the wicked Daityas to ashes. He was then delighted to crown his son Andhaka as the king of Daityas. He returned to his abode. He lifted up the earth from the Patala by means of his fangs. He sustained the earth as before. Eulogized by the gods, the delighted sages, and the Brahma, Lord Vishnu of huge body, who had assumed the form of boar, finished the task and returned to his abode. When Hiranyaksha, the king of Asuras, was killed by Vishnu assuming the form of a boar, the gods, sages, and other living beings became happy. This concludes the reading for chapter 42 for tonight in English. I request Sushma Aunty to read in Hindi. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji.
जय गुरुजी, शुक्राना गुरुजी इस सेवा के लिए। अध्याय 42 आरंभ। उमा द्वारा शंभू के नेत्र मूंद लिए जाने पर अंधकार में शंभू के पसीने से अंधकासुर की उत्पत्ति, हिरण्याक्ष की पुत्रार्थ तपस्या और शिव का उसे पुत्र रूप में अंधक को देना, हिरण्याक्ष का त्रिलोकी को जीतकर पृथ्वी को रसातल में ले जाना और वराह रूपधारी विष्णु द्वारा उसका वध। सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं, व्यास जी, अब जिस प्रकार अंधकासुर ने परमात्मा शंभु के गणाध्यक्ष पद को प्राप्त किया था, महेश्वर के उस मंगलमय चरित्र को श्रवण करो। मुनीश्वर, अंधकासुर ने पहले शिवजी के साथ बड़ा घोर संग्राम किया था, परंतु पीछे बारंबार सात्विक भाव के उद्रेक से उसने शंभु को प्रसन्न कर लिया। क्योंकि नाना प्रकार की लीलाएं करने वाले शंभु शरणागत रक्षक तथा परम भक्त वत्सल हैं, उनका महात्म्य परम अद्भुत है। व्यास जी ने पूछा, ऐश्वर्यशाली मुनिवर, वह अंधक कौन था और भूतल पर किस वीर्यवान के कुल में उत्पन्न हुआ था? दैत्यों में प्रधान तथा महामनस्वी उस बलवान अंधक का स्वरूप कैसा था और वह किसका पुत्र था? उसने परम तेजस्वी शंभु की गणाध्यक्षता को कैसे प्राप्त किया? यदि अंधक गणेश्वर हो गया तब तो वह परम धन्यवाद का पात्र है। सनत कुमार जी ने कहा, मुने, पूर्व काल की बात है, एक समय भक्तों पर कृपा करने वाले तथा देवताओं के चक्रवर्ती सम्राट भगवान शंकर को विहार करने की इच्छा हुई। तब वे पार्वती और गणों को साथ ले अपने निवास भूत कैलाश पर्वत में चलकर काशीपुरी में आए। वहाँ उन्होंने उस पुरी को अपनी राजधानी बनाया और भैरव नामक वीर को उसका रक्षक नियुक्त किया। फिर पार्वती जी के साथ रहते हुए वे भक्तजनों को सुख देने वाली अनेक प्रकार की लीलाएं करने लगे। एक समय वे इसके वरदान के प्रभाववश अनेकों वीरागणगण्य गणेश्वरों और शिवा के साथ मंदराचल पर गए और वहाँ भी तरह तरह की क्रीड़ाएं करने लगे। एक दिन जब प्रचंड पराक्रमी कपर्दी शिव मंदराचल की पूर्व दिशा में बैठे थे, उसी समय गिरिजा ने नर्म क्रीड़ावश उनके नेत्र बंद कर दिए। इस प्रकार जब पार्वती ने मूंगे, सुवर्ण और कमल की प्रभा वाले अपने कर कमलों से हर के नेत्र बंद कर दिए, तब उनके नेत्रों के मुंद जाने के कारण वहाँ क्षण भर में ही घोर अंधकार फैल गया। पार्वती के हाथों का महेश्वर के शरीर से स्पर्श होने के कारण शंभु के ललाट में स्थित अग्नि से संतप्त होकर मध्य जल प्रकट हो गया और जल की बहुत सी बूंदें टपक पड़ी। तदंतर उन बूंदों ने एक गर्भ का रूप धारण कर लिया। उससे एक ऐसा जीव प्रकट हुआ जिसका मुख विकराल था। वह अत्यंत भयंकर, क्रोधी, कृतघ्न, अंधा, कुरूप, जटाधारी, काले रंग का, मनुष्य से भिन्न, बेडौल और सुंदर बालों वाला था। उसके कंठ से घोर घोर घर घर शब्द निकल रहे थे। वह कभी गाता, कभी हंसता और कभी रोने लगता था तथा जबड़ों को चाटते हुए नाच रहा था। उस अद्भुत दृश्य वाले जीव को प्रकट होने पर शिवजी मुस्कुराकर पार्वती जी से बोले, श्री महेश्वर ने कहा, प्रिय, मेरे नेत्रों को मूंद कर तुमने ही तो ये कर्म किया है, फिर तुम उससे भय क्यों कर रही हो? शंकर जी के उस वचन को सुनकर गौरी हंस पड़ी और उनके नेत्रों पर से उन्होंने अपना हाथ हटा लिया। फिर तो वहाँ प्रकाश छा गया, परंतु उस प्राणी का रूप भयंकर ही बना रहा और अंधकार से उत्पन्न होने के कारण उसके नेत्र भी अंधे थे। तब वैसे प्राणी को प्रकट हुए देखकर गौरी ने महेश्वर से पूछा। गौरी ने कहा, भगवान, सच सच बताइए कि हम लोगों के सामने प्रकट हुए ये बेडोल प्राणी कौन है? ये तो अत्यंत भयंकर है। किस निमित्त को लेकर किसने इसकी सृष्टि किया और ये किसका पुत्र है? सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं, महर्षि, जब लीला रचने वाली तथा तीनों लोकों की जननी गौरी ने सृष्टिकर्ता की उस अंधी सृष्टि के विषय में यूँ प्रश्न किया। तब लीला विहारी भगवान शंकर अपनी प्रिया के उस वचन को सुनकर कुछ मुस्कुराए और इस प्रकार बोले। महेश्वर ने कहा, अद्भुत चरित्र रचने वाले अंबिके, सुनो। जब तुमने मेरे नेत्र मूंद लिए थे उसी समय ये अद्भुत एवं प्रचंड पराक्रमी प्राणी मेरे पसीने से प्रकट हुआ। इसका नाम अंधक है। तुम ही इसको उत्पन्न करने वाली हो, अतः सखियों सहित तुम्हें करुणापूर्वक इसकी गणों से या यथा योग्य रक्षा करते रहना चाहिए। आर्य, इस प्रकार बुद्धिपूर्वक विचार करके ही तुम्हें सब कार्य करना चाहिए। सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं, मुने, अपने स्वामी के ऐसे वचन सुनकर गौरी का हृदय करुणार्द्र हो गया। वे अपनी सखियों सहित अंधक की अपने पुत्र की भांति नाना प्रकार के उपायों द्वारा रक्षा करने लगी। तदंतर शिशिर ऋतु आने पर दैत्य हिरण्याक्ष पुत्र की कामना से उसी वन में आया, क्योंकि उसकी पत्नी ने उसके ज्येष्ठ बंधु की संतान परंपरा को देखकर उसे संतानार्थ तपश्चर्या के लिए प्रेरित किया था। वहाँ वह कश्यप नंदन हिरण्याक्ष वन का आश्रय ले पुत्र प्राप्ति के लिए घोर तप करने लगा। उसके मन में महेश्वर के दर्शन की इच्छा थी, अतः वह क्रोध आदि दोषों को अपने काबू में करके ठूंठ की भांति निश्चल होकर समाधिस्थ हो गया। द्विजेंद्र, तब जिसकी ध्वजा में वृष का चिन्ह वर्तमान है तथा जो पिनाक धारण करने वाले हैं, वे महेश उसकी तपस्या से पूर्णतया प्रसन्न होकर उसे वर प्रदान करने के लिए चले और उस स्थान पर पहुंचकर दैत्य प्रवर हिरण्याक्ष से बोले। महेश ने कहा, दैत्यनाथ, अब तू अपने इंद्रियों का विनाश मत कर। किस लिए तूने इस व्रत का आश्रय लिया है? तू अपना मनोरथ तो प्रकट कर। मैं वरदाता शंकर हूँ, अतः तेरी जो अभिलाषा होगी वो सब मैं तुम्हें प्रदान करूँगा। सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं, महर्षि, महेश्वर के उस सरस वचन को सुनकर दैत्यराज हिरण्याक्ष परम प्रसन्न हुआ। उसने गिरीश के चरणों में नमस्कार करके अनेक प्रकार से उनकी स्तुति की। फिर वह अंजलि बांधे सिर झुकाकर कहने लगा। हिरण्याक्ष ने कहा, चंद्रभाल, मेरे उत्तम पराक्रम संपन्न तथा दैत्य कुल के अनुरूप कोई पुत्र नहीं है, इसलिए मैंने इस व्रत का अनुष्ठान किया है। देवेश, मुझे परम बलशाली पुत्र दीजिए। सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं, मुने, दैत्यराज के उस वचन को सुनकर कृपालु शंकर प्रसन्न हो गए और उससे बोले, दैत्याधिप, तेरे भाग्य में तेरे वीर्य से उत्पन्न होने वाला पुत्र तो नहीं लिखा है, किंतु मैं तुझे एक पुत्र देता हूँ। मेरा एक पुत्र है जिसका नाम अंधक है। वो तेरे ही समान पराक्रमी और अजय है। तू संपूर्ण दुखों को त्याग कर उसी को पुत्र रूप से वरण कर ले और इस प्रकार पुत्र प्राप्त कर ले। सनत कुमार जी कहते हैं, महर्षि, उससे यूँ कहकर गौरी के साथ विराजमान उन महात्मा भूतनाथ त्रिपुरारी शंकर ने प्रसन्न होकर हिरण्याक्ष को वो पुत्र दे दिया। इस प्रकार शिवजी से पुत्र प्राप्त करके वह महामनस्वी दैत्य परम प्रसन्न हुआ। उसने अनेकों स्त्रोतों द्वारा रुद्र की पूजा करके प्रदक्षिणा की और फिर वह अपने राज्य को चला गया। गिरीश से पुत्र प्राप्त कर लेने के बाद वह प्रचंड पराक्रमी दैत्य संपूर्ण देवताओं को जीतकर इस पृथ्वी को अपने देश रसातल में उठा ले गया। तब देवताओं, मुनियों और सिद्धों ने अनंत पराक्रमी विष्णु की आराधना की। फिर तो भगवान विष्णु सर्वात्मक यज्ञमय विकराल वारा रूप शरीर धारण कर थुथुन के अनेकों प्रहारों से पृथ्वी को विदीर्ण करके पाताल लोक में जा घुसे। वहाँ उन्होंने कभी न टूटने वाली अपनी अगली दाढ़ों से तथा थुथुन से सैकड़ों दैत्यों का कचूमर निकालकर अपने वज्र सदृश कठोर पाद प्रहारों से निशाचरों की सेना को मथ डाला। तत्पश्चात अद्भुत एवं प्रचंड तेजस्वी विष्णु ने करोड़ों सूर्यों के समान प्रकाशमान सुदर्शन चक्र से हिरण्याक्ष के प्रज्वलित सिर को काट लिया और दुष्ट दैत्यों को जलाकर भस्म कर दिया। ये देखकर देवराज इंद्र को बड़ी प्रसन्नता हुई। उन्होंने उस असुर राज्य पर अंधक को अभिषिक्त कर दिया। फिर महात्मा इंद्र विष्णु को अपनी दाढ़ों द्वारा पाताल लोक से पृथ्वी को लाते हुए देखकर परम प्रसन्न हुए और अपने स्थान पर आकर पूर्ववत स्वर्ग और भूतल की रक्षा करने लगे। इधर 12 रूप धारण करके उत्तम कार्य करने वाले उग्र रूपधारी श्री हरि प्रसन्नचित हुए समस्त देवों, मुनियों और पद्म योनि ब्रह्मा द्वारा प्रशंसित होकर अपने लोक को चले गए। इस प्रकार 12 रूपधारी विष्णु असुर राज हिरण्याक्ष को मारे जाने पर समस्त देव, मुनि तथा अन्य सभी जीव सुखी हो गए। अध्याय 42 समाप्त। जय गुरु जी।